Well, hey, everybody.
Hey, Rich.
Just because it's Memorial Day doesn't mean it's not a day in which we can overreact.
No, of course not.
Happy one and all to those who are listening to Overreaction Monday. We're recording this thing and dropping it on Memorial Day, and which is, not usually a day associated with the National Football League.
But
hey, the month of May, big things happen.
some stuff happened.
The schedule came out, and the Tush Push survived.
Indeed.
Words that I never thought I'd say without a hint of irony.
No.
And as of right now, we're waiting on OTAs and things like that. And we've got Shedeur Sanders spinning around, and there's lots to talk about on Overreaction Monday. Rich with Chris, we hope wherever you're taking this in, you are having a safe Memorial Day weekend. And if you're listening to it later, hope you had one. Good to see you over there, Christopher.
Good to see you, Rich. What's up, man?
I'm ready to react or overreact and ready to hear what you got cooked up.
All right, let's not wait any longer.
Hit it.
That was terrible. That was crap. That was garbage. This place sucks.
Overreaction Monday.
Christopher, what do you have over there?
Rich, let's just get right to it. One of the big stories last week, our long national nightmare is over from the Bay Area. Brock Purdy has a new contract.
Yeah, baby.
Big money.
With a 5. It starts with a 5.
$265 million.
Million dollars.
Mama,
Yeah.
Rich. Brock Purdy has to win a Super Bowl and make it to another one for this deal to be worth it.
I love the phrasing "has to do it."
Has to do it.
Like so.
No, has to do
just
it.
a monster sinkhole will open up in Santa Clara
and then it just
consume
suck
him
right in. Yeah.
So he has to do it. That's the only way. This
He
massive
literally could save the
sinkhole.
city of
He
San
could save
Francisco.
He's
That's
the man
right.
who saved Santa Clara.
Yeah, remember in The Rock, then the
Sure.
PX gas or whatever is coming
Yeah.
at the stadium.
Okay.
Yeah. Brock Purdy could just divert that off into the ocean.
Unless he wins the Super Bowl,
Right.
and
And
makes
goes into
another.
another one, yeah.
Not an overreaction
Yeah.
at all. He has to do it. He must do it. Well, it's more than just that, Chris. We are now in the portion of the Brock Purdy window in which he's no longer being paid peanuts.
Literal peanuts.
The statistic I saw, or the nugget I saw that really jumped out at me, is he is now making per game what he made in the aggregate over the first 3 years of his contract.
That's tremendous.
In 1 week,
That's a
his
great
1
come up.
week paycheck will be equivalent to every penny he earned in the first 3 years of his Mr.
I can't
Irrelevancy.
wait till I sign a deal like that.
That's now quite relevant, right? So, all that said, no. No. It has to win one and make another one. One in the case, pal. One in the case. Or just making a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but if he just makes it, he's where he was before on the rookie deal.
But the alternative is what? You let him walk? You let him walk.
You
let him walk.
Let him play out this year.
You let him play out this year for relative peanuts.
Franchise tag him.
Force this kid to hold out. Force him to hold out.
He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't hold out. He'd play.
But that's what I'm saying. What would be the point of that? We are not going to pay you $53 million. We're going to pay you 40, and you're going to like it. And that's it.
And you say, thank you, sir. May I have another?
Well, he would not say that. He would sit out. And all of a sudden, now you got yourself a big to-do. And last year went down a toilet, and again, I'm not saying McCaffrey's Achilles and Brandon Ayuk's knee and Trent Williams, what happened with him is all due to the fact that they didn't have a regular offseason because they were worried about a contract or holding in or holding out. But it helps to just be normal, settle it, have them come in, pay them, and hope for the best. And,
hope is not a good strategy.
Well, it's everybody, all 32 teams have hope as a strategy.
Yeah, or you let him play it out, and if this year does go down the drain, I've heard this upcoming draft is pretty quarterback rich.
Or there's a guy that plays the position the way the coach likes it. He's great within the organization. The phone never rings at 2 a.m. saying you'll never guess what's going on with him. And he's already taken you to a Super Bowl.
True.
He's the avatar of what happens when you have opportunity meet talent. And so
he left the Super Bowl with the lead. I understand all of that.
He did, and everybody expected him. I'll say it here. They expected him to shit down his leg, and he didn't. Come on. Sorry, everybody. That may be an overreaction. What else you got over there, Chris?
All right, so overreaction on
yes.
on the
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
all right.
Off and running.
Oh, we're off and running. Let's make it 2 for 2.
You made me curse.
I'm thinking about.
It's your fault.
And this one's really just for me and all of New England. The Patriots are going to win 10-plus games this year for the first time since Tom Brady.
All right, that is an overreaction. That is an 10 plus.
10 games.
Plus.
Why can't?
So
you look at the Patriots schedule.
This is going to be like the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, you look at the Patriots schedule and you see everyone saying second easiest. San Francisco has the easiest this year, right?
All right.
And you say, look at all these wins that they could get.
Do you want to do win loss? Are we going to do the win loss?
I think 10-7 is not unrealistic looking at this schedule.
Well, you got 3 in a row on the road, right in the middle of everything.
Okay,
fun.
It is not unheard of that they could go 4-0 or 3-1 to start the year, right? Then you go to Buffalo, get a little comeuppance. Saints, Titans, Browns are not good. Honestly, the Patriots could start 7-1. Really, best case scenario.
Your guy is set up.
Falcons are tough. Bucks tough. Jets not good. Bengals tough. Giants not good. And then an interesting stretch, a home stretch to finish there.
How about your final 4 is you got 2 games. You got 3 games in division and 1 at Baltimore after a bye, and you're assuming the Giants are just going to be crap.
Yeah, and I'm assuming,
but I don't know what to tell you other than the fact of it is really difficult to plus yourself up. What it would be 7, 8?
No, 6. They were 4-13. So
you're plussing yourself up 6.
6.
I mean, is very difficult, and the Chargers did it because they did have the bones around a kid quarterback who isn't that much of a kid anymore. I mean, is it out of the realm? No. Is this a proper reaction? No. I think you're still overreacting here. A lot is going to have to happen positively. You do have the right head coach. You do have the right offensive coordinator. Okay. You do have Steph Diggs, but he's coming off of a knee injury. We have no idea what he's going to look like. I mean, his Met Gala appearance, if he shows up like that on the field, if he's going to
looks pretty good.
If he's going to bring his Cardi B game,
I know,
instead of his A game,
courtside.
I get it. So I understand.
I look at what they did in the draft and free agency, all the defensive additions. Yeah, all the reason to be. It's the most excited I've been heading into a Patriots season in quite some time.
And you should be. And I'm happy for you and all the Patriot people I love, which is literally most of my family.
About everybody.
I know. My brother, the Jet fan, is like, really? I can't believe it.
It's not too late for you guys to get off and get on a new team. You know that, right?
I tell that to my brother all the time.
It's not too late.
All the time.
Yeah.
He will not do it.
You guys still have 30, 40 years left in your great lives, and you can enjoy that and rooting for someone else.
He will not do it.
Okay.
But that said, overreaction.
All right.
I'm happy for you, though.
Thank you. So as a Patriots fan, I'm obviously very excited for the upcoming season. I also think Bears fans are very excited with Rich Eisen. And I look at what the Bears have done through the draft, offseason adding Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams is going to take a massive leap. I'm talking top 5 MVP incoming.
Oh, boy, Christopher.
Now, I realize if you rewound this podcast probably exactly a year ago,
you were saying the same thing.
I was like hinting at kind of the same stuff where I thought the Bears could make the playoffs and challenge for the division. And I saw what went down last year. If you look at statistically, Caleb was actually pretty good.
Oh, listen, man.
It was better than sometimes it looked.
Let me hand out some flowers here, okay? Because one of the stories of May involved Caleb Williams.
Yes.
And so I can't believe I'm saying this because this is crazy in the NFL. But the mere fact that he's going to have a coach who will tell him how to watch film and what to see.
Crazy.
Or wait for it. Sit in the film room with him and be the one
and
to watch the film with him.
Yes.
That alone should lead to massive improvement. That alone, just that mere fact alone, that the first second that Ben Johnson was able to sit down because the collective bargaining agreement allowed these meetings to take place, that he could be the one sitting down in a film room with Caleb Williams He's the one sending him cut-ups.
Man.
His coaching staff is the one to basically give him the roadmap on how to be a better film-watching professional and take that on the field with him. That alone should lead to an improvement. They did the right thing in hitting the offensive line.
Yep.
All right. In free agency.
Just gave Joe Tooney a new deal.
What they did in the draft. Colston Loveland is going to be a heck of a BFF for this guy. All right. So that also, coupled with the portion of this story that I'm referring to from Seth Wickersham and ESPN, he's got a new book coming out that this was a nugget dropped, right, that he learned.
Yeah, they tried to circumvent the draft, right? And was threatening the UFL.
This nugget drops in advance of his book coming out. Pre-order now, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
And Seth was great to come on the main show, the flagship, which I know people poke fun of us using that word in the comments. I say it. That the portion of what we just mentioned that hasn't been given out as flowers enough. Caleb Williams didn't breathe a word of this. If he was concerned about the Bears drafting him and he's trying to circumvent the draft and all that stuff, he shut up at the combine a happy warrior. Mm-hmm. He was at his pro day talking to Keenan Allen and Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus in public, smile on his face. Apparently behind the scenes, he and his dad were like, we want no piece of this. And apparently it was at his pro day and right around then that Ryan Poles basically said, we're taking you. We're taking you.
Yeah, it's happening.
You're going to be a Bear.
Right.
So just grin and bear it. Right. Didn't breathe a word of it. Yep. Then he did finally, if you will, come around. It's kind of like Beauty and the Beast, right? They placed him in the
he was in the cave
in the Chicago basement, right? And like, you'll just come around. You know, we'll fall in love.
Trust us, you're gonna love us.
You're gonna love it. Here's some books to read, but definitely not some film to watch.
Don't watch film,
right? You know,
forget all that.
And then all of this was happening during the season, and he didn't breathe a word of it. And he's getting his ass kicked. He nearly had 70 sacks.
Off OC was terrible. Coach got fired.
Yes, coach is standing there with no time, with a timeout on Thanksgiving.
Do we call a timeout? What should we do here?
Right. He's the one who had to come back in Washington, D.C. and then watch the Hail Mary hit.
Yeah.
He didn't say a word. So I understand, but top 5 MVP finish?
Yeah, why not?
You take Goff out, you put him in?
Why not? Why can't that happen?
Well, that means they're going to plus themselves up a significant amount. That means you're talking about 11-12 win season there. You're talking about Ben Johnson, Coach of the Year. That's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
You're talking about making the playoffs. I'm talking
about all of it. Yeah. So hold on. Let me see who was
for me
fifth.
To sit here and
Goff was fifth in
late
MVP
May and say this is it.
Top 5 MVP this year was Josh Allen won, obviously, in the closest vote ever. Lamar, Saquon was 3rd, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Mahomes was 6th.
So you're basically saying we're going to get another running back in the mix and 4 quarterbacks. And of the 4 quarterbacks, one of them is going to be Caleb Williams. That's what you're telling me.
I'm saying why not?
I mean, why not is a difference between me just saying you're onto something here.
Am I onto something or...
I mean, I just laid it out why this is possible, but
yeah, come on, Rich Eisen.
I mean, it's tough for me to sit here and say, Lamar and Mahomes and Allen and Burrow are all going to be in this mix, and so Caleb's going to raise his hand and have a Goff-like season.
Nobody saw Goff coming last year.
Well, I mean, and he's got the offensive coordinator now as his HC.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, Chris.
Thank you.
I'll give you this one.
Thank you.
But I'm keeping my finger on this chess piece. I haven't made my move yet.
Let's stay in the NFC North, which I think
you talked me into it. You made me curse, and now you talk me into it.
Look at that.
Look at you.
Must be Memorial Day.
What's up?
If the Vikings don't win both their international games, so we're seeing this for the first year ever, right? The back-to-back, a team playing back-to-back international.
No, we're seeing the first time ever somebody playing back-to-back international in 2 different countries.
Even more so.
We've seen the Jaguars play 2 London games in a row.
2 different countries.
But they just hung out. They just had to move their stuff, maybe from one hotel to another. I don't think they changed hotels, but definitely from one stadium in one part of London to another. This one, now you got to pack your stuff up and make the flight from Dublin to London.
And they were one of the great stories in the NFL last year with Kevin O'Connell
where are you going with this?
Sam Darnold.
Where are you going with this?
Here's where I'm going with this.
If they don't
win both international games,
they got to beat the Steelers and the Browns.
Their season could really go off the rails.
That's absurd. That's
stupid. I want you to look at their schedule and tell me if they don't win these two games,
they got to bye
in weeks 4 and 5. Their season is going to go off the rails.
Well, I mean, what is their record going into London? They're at Chicago to start, winnable. Home for Atlanta, winnable. Home for Cincinnati. These are winnable games. All right. So you're saying they're.
I'm saying.
Just give me. What are you giving me? 2-1 there? You giving me 2-1
to start the year?
Yeah.
With a rookie quarterback who we have no idea if he can play.
He's not a rookie, but he's a first-year starter. Okay. I'm sorry. I got him. Yeah, okay.
I get it. Let's say they're 1-2.
Let's say he loses more games in his first 3 NFL starts than he did in his entire college career. Okay.
College and the pros not the same. This just
I'm just saying he's a winner, but let's go.
Let's say they're 2-3, even being 2-3 coming out of the bye week, right?
Sure.
Philly, Chargers, Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago better, Green Bay, at Seattle, Washington.
At Dallas, at the Giants. It's a tough sched, man. I mean, if
you're
in the NFC North, 3 teams made the playoffs last year, right? And then you're playing the NFC East.
I'm looking at Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
Hold on a minute. That featured the final 2 teams in the NFC total last year. And you're playing the AFC North. I mean, that had almost 3 playoff teams last year.
What I'm saying is I am worried about the Vikings this year. If they don't win, Pittsburgh and Cleveland are going to be down. They're going to be down.
Why are they down?
Pittsburgh, we still have no idea who the quarterback is, and we're going to talk about that in a second.
We know who the quarterback is.
And Cleveland has 4, which means you really have 0. 2, you have 0. 4, you really have 0.
All right, let's get to this, the Rodgers one, because this one I'm just going to dispatch. I mean, after 5 weeks, you're saying somebody could have the end of their season over. The Rams, weren't the Rams 1-4 through 5 last year? You know what I mean? So, and then they wound up winning their division.
JJ McCarthy is not Matt Stafford.
They wound up winning their division, and they wound up giving the ultimate Super Bowl champs who boat raced their toughest game.
Yeah. So, I'm just saying I'm worried about the Vikings. That's all.
And I'm just saying any team after 5 weeks can't be written off.
I'm worried about the Vikings.
Okay.
Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Did you see what he had to say on Joe Rogan last week?
I had somebody tell me. I read it.
Here's the thing. The Steelers need to give Aaron Rodgers an ultimatum and then move on. What are they doing waiting for this guy? They are risking blowing up and absolutely sabotaging this whole season just sitting around waiting for this dude.
Well, I mean, the question is when is midnight strike?
Why hasn't it already struck?
I mean, because I don't know, because Rodgers is doing Rodgers things. Trust me, if I'm waiting for him to show up, right, and I'm waiting for him, and if I'm sitting in that front office and I'm nervous, I'm nervous about
their OTAs start this week.
I understand that. And what is best is to have somebody in the entire off season, non-playing season.
Yes.
Practice season.
It would be very beneficial.
The best thing for you to do. I want to be consistent as well. Earlier on in this pod, I was saying for the Niners, hey, it helps to have everyone under contract
and everyone there. Yeah.
Right? And everybody rehabbing if you're coming off of an injury season, or if you're, in your low 40s, you want to have, the treatment, you want to have all of that stuff. Right? That is best. That's what you want. You want to have your guy there. You want to have your bonding starting. You want to have all of that stuff. Of course. If you're that nervous and you're also eager to hear what he has to say, and you download what he was on for 3 hours with Rogan.
Yeah.
And was he in Austin? Was he there?
I believe so. Yeah.
I just don't know, but you're seeing he's got 3 hours to just kick it with Joe. Those are 3 hours that I'm sitting there thinking he could be sitting, in a film room with us.
He could be throwing passes to our guys.
Of course, I'm thinking that, but if you are also put your eggs in the Rodgers basket, and what else could they do is what I'm saying. What else could they do now? This situation you're in now. You could, call up Atlanta and say, how much for Kirk Cousins?
Bingo.
Couldn't you do that in June? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When is midnight? When is midnight strike?
Don't you want Kirk here? I just don't understand why they're putting up with this. Aaron Rodgers is suddenly just going to flip a switch. Like, he's obviously thinking about everything except football right now. I understand that he has personal and family issues, people dealing with cancer, he said, people that are really close to him. But that was only a small part of his conversation with Joe Rogan. They were talking about God knows what. He is not thinking about football at the moment. So he's just going to flip a switch in June and suddenly...
Again, being in the what does Aaron Rodgers think business, what does Aaron Rodgers think of himself business is always... It's a lane we try to avoid around here as much as possible because, we don't agree with mostly some of the stuff that he says. That said, if there are people who agree with stuff that don't agree with what he says and then get upset with people who... say stuff that you do agree to, and other members of the media say, stick to sports, stay in your lane. This is his lane. You know what I mean? Like, this is what he wants to say. This is what he wants to say.
But is it all worth the squeeze?
No, but I believe he thinks he is on a plane, a level where he can think all this stuff, go on Joe Rogan and talk about all this stuff, while also roll a football out and be ready to play football. I'm sure he knows the Arthur Smith offense well enough. Like, he doesn't need to have this practice time. This actually helps him get ready because he's not there. If you're this is the stuff you're talking about. If you feel he's just going to leave you at the altar, well, what that does is it puts you over a barrel in a negotiation to get somebody like Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? But you can also sit here and say, the minute you lift the phone and call Terry Fontenot and ask, what about Kirk Cousins? He knows you're concerned about Rodgers not showing up, so you're over a barrel already. You've already put yourself over the barrel by putting yourself into this barrel, if you will.
But if Kirk gets you a playoff win that you haven't had in forever,
I understand that.
What
I'm saying, though, is it's just a draft choice of some sort. Instead of it being a 5, it might be a 3, and you also have to pick up more of a contract and eat the cash. But that stuff could be done.
All of that is more worth it than what this guy is.
What I'm saying, all that stuff can be done in a month.
Okay.
When does midnight strike?
Yeah, and I'm
now on Memorial Day week, it does not strike.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering why it hasn't.
No, and if you are don't agree with the stuff that Rodgers is saying, and then you're concerned about is that stuff coming with him?
How does it not?
Well, I'm saying it doesn't. Well, it does, but does it matter on the field? Does it matter? Does most of your locker room agree with the stuff that he says?
Yeah, maybe,
so it doesn't matter.
Maybe.
What I'm saying, and it doesn't matter because he's such a great teammate. Otherwise, everybody kind of digs him and loves him.
Yeah.
For him that was also part of the issue with the Jets, when he's just like, if it has nothing to do with football, leave it the hell out of there until I have my free time, and then I'm going to talk about whatever it is, including stuff that's 5 years old, it's dead and buried.
Right.
A lot of the stuff that he's talking about.
Right. And if he's so good, he's rolling the balls out.
Right.
He had a team last year that everyone thought was ready to contend, and they went 5-12.
He also had an owner that fired the coach 5 games in, or threatened to have him benched after a home loss, left them at 2-2. There's more than meets the eye there.
A lot going on with the Jets last year.
What else?
All right, 2 more, Rich. Let's say let's talk Bills. Let's talk Bills. Hard Knocks is coming. That's going to be super duper fun.
That's another May headline.
And here's what I'm thinking about. If the Bills win the Sunday night opener
against the Ravens,
undefeated going into December.
Interesting. All right. I know Hoskins has the Bills schedule.
Of course he does. That was probably the first one he made.
At the Jets, home for Miami, home for New Orleans, home for New England, at Atlanta, bye, at Carolina. Oh, there's week 9, home against Kansas City. They have won those at Miami. What? I don't Berman on you there. Home for Tampa, at Houston on a Thursday night.
We're cooking
at Pittsburgh.
We're 7-0 going into home for KC.
Dude, those are a lot. They own there.
KC
that
in the
November
regular
schedule.
season.
That November schedule of Kansas City at Miami, home for Tampa, at Houston, at Pittsburgh. You think they go through that unscathed?
I look at all those teams, and I think if the Bills.
Well, then you got to start talking about threatening the perfect season, home for Cincinnati.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know the Bengals have no fear of going in Western New York.
Right.
Just ask the guy who's going to be hosting them the following week, Stephon Diggs. At Cleveland, home for Philly. I mean,
Buffalo struggled in openers in the last few years. We get it, but
that November schedule.
KC, they own in the regular season.
If you said going in November, if you said going in the Kansas City game undefeated, I would have bought it. I'd have bought it.
Yeah, but that's
you
not.
know what happens at
spicy.
Miami. At Miami, like for teams in the Northeast or
Weird
anybody
on
the ear, right? It's the East Coast version of Seattle. It's a corner of the country.
Yep.
Right. And just weird stuff happens. Normal games just do not get played in Miami. I don't know what it is.
Well, then there's the whole just Miami factor that comes into play.
Dude, teams flying on Saturday. They have a curfew. They don't. There's
I don't know.
There's no Miami
There's
factor in the NFL.
There, man.
There is no Miami factor in the NFL.
All right, it's a little too hot.
From what I believe,
it's a little too hot for you.
December's hot. November, you'd have bought me. What else you got? Finish up strong.
All right, last one. Finish up strong. A big topic last week at the owner meetings. The Tush Push sticking around. They were 2 votes shy of getting the Tush Push banned, which makes me seem like it's probably going to get banned maybe next year.
I don't know.
Year after. I don't know. But keeping the Tush Push, smart move. Love it.
Big time. Let me tell you something.
Love keeping it.
I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and maybe we'll talk about it on the show as well. I've been thinking quite a bit about this. It is to try and ban the Tush Push if you are deep down thinking it's because of we can't stop it, right? I understand that there is some health and safety concerns. And if you're in the front office of the NFL and some of the medical staff is actually telling you, listen, man, it's a car crash down there and there's too many helmets lowered. There's too many helmets lowered as everybody's trying to get the lowest leverage possible. And these guys are so big, they're not bending at the hip. They're not bending at the, at the ankles. They're not bending at the knees. They're not bending at the hips. They're just bending over and they're lowering their heads. Yep. And there's going to be a big problem. I understand you want it banned because you've been sued for gajillions of dollars on a concussion settlement. And if you have been so informed by medical staff, this is dangerous at some point, then you're going to want it banned. So I understand why there could be some people that just want it out for health and safety issues. Pace of play, I don't get, unless you're just like, it's boring to watch. That's your way of saying pace of play.
Aesthetically, it's not great, but I mean, it's no longer than any other play.
But if you are one that's trying to use that as a fig leaf because you can't stop it, and you're going to take some of the concerns from maybe Park Avenue over health and safety and say, I'm going to agree with you. You're right. This thing is dangerous. You know what? I'm thinking a lot about it, and I've thought long and hard about it. You're right. This is dangerous. But you're using that as a fig leaf to cover up the fact, like, we cannot stop this freaking thing. I mean, we have spent so much time thinking how to stop this thing. If you voted against this because you could not stop it, and you're going to say the way to stop it is legislated, it is the most anti-NFL thing I've ever heard of.
So weak.
It runs completely counter
absolutely
to the league of like, you don't want someone to celebrate, stop them. Yeah. You don't want somebody to do this, stop them. You know what we need to do? We need to get through the execution phase, and we need to get through the planning phase, and we need to just one time put our fingers in the dirt, and we are going to stop somebody. Our 11 are better than yours.
That's what I'm saying.
And our coaching staff is better than yours. And our training staff is better than yours. Our medical staff, our ownership is better than yours. And we all have the same salary cap. It is all even. It just comes down to planning and execution and heart and soul and want to. That's what the NFL is about. And everybody that voted against the Tush Push because they couldn't stop it, it is completely counter to what the NFL is about and what makes it great. That's what I've been thinking about.
I'm fired up right now.
Damn it. I just feel,
Let's go.
Wish you would feel the same way about fumbling through the end. We'll get there.
Probably not.
Good stuff, Christopher.
All right, buddy.
All right. Fun June ahead. We'll be doing the Overreaction Monday podcast a couple of times in June, as always, including one time at Fanatics Fest.
Hey.
On to the 21st of June. We'll be in New York City.
That's going to be great.
Doing this show live once again. We'll do it live.
Hey.
But before then, for Chris, I'm Rich, saying adios for Overreaction Monday. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.